Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Dr. Adeoye. I'm the CEO of Innovate Africa. And today we are pleased to have a lot of people joining us here. And what we have today is a presentation to explore and to explain about the background to the AfCFTA, which is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement that's kicked off on the And what we are hoping to uh, achieve by the end of today is to be in a position where the small and the uh, medium size, SMEs and the micro business owners are able to understand how this works, how they can benefit from it, and how ultimately we can help the motherland, Africa, to move forward through this. The interesting thing is that Innovate Africa sits between the diaspora and the Africa continent in terms of our relationships and in terms of partnerships that we have. This journey started for us in 2014 when we started as a meetup group, and we've gone from there to the point today where we now have relationships across the African continent where we have country partners and we also have country leaders in Western countries. Today, I am pleased and very honored to have four eminent panelists who will be sharing perspective from different angles. First and foremost, I will start, with a lady, Unami Klole in Botswana, who is a right, rule of origin expert. We then have Prudence Ebahizi, who is part of the Africa Union, but specifically is the head of the negotiation unit of the CFTA, and he's also been working as head of technical advisor at the AfCFTA unit. In Gambia, we have Beatrice Mboge, who is the CEO of the Gambia Women Chamber of Commerce. Nice to have you, Beatrice. And also in Egypt, we have Dr. El Shakawi, who is the chairman of the IABA, which is a business association of Egyptians looking to sort of integrate with the whole of Africa. Nice to have all of you here. Before we kick off, I will just touch briefly about the biographies of the speakers we have today. So starting from Unami, she's a well-seasoned rules of origin trainer. She is also an accredited World Custom Organization expert trainer on rules of origin. Rules of origin is something that will come up again and again during this conversation today. Unami is part of Botswana Rules of Origin Technical Advisory Team on trade negotiation, regional trade negotiation. She's been part of the AfCFTA Technical Negotiation Team from 2017 to 2019. After that, from 2019 to 2020, she worked for the AU as a senior consultant, an expert on the rules of origin. She's also a part-time graduate program trainer on rules of origin. She has more than 9 years of experience in customs, trade policy, and trade facilitation. And she's currently working with the Botswana government and running a business on a part-time basis. The next person I would like to introduce in terms of their bio is Prudence Ebahizi, who I introduced previously as the Chief Technical Advisor of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and head of the Negotiation Support Unit within the Department of Trade and Industry of the AU since August 16. He provides strategic advice on the strategic negotiations of the AfCFTA. Prior to this, he has worked in different capacities within the Africa Union Commission, Department for Trade and Industry, and more effectively driving the preparatory process since 2015. Prudence, nice to have you here. Also, we have all the way from Gambia, which is a popular destination for those of us in the UK for tourism. We have Beatrice Mboge, who is the CEO of the Gambia Women Chamber of Commerce. She previously was the director of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce. She's an expert in international trade an advocate for women in business, and she will be kind of coming in on those kind of angle today. In Egypt, we have Dr. Yusri El Shakawi, who is the chairman of the Egyptian African Businessmen's Association. He's an expert in international investment and economic development. He's also the chairman of HOC Economic Group. He's an Egyptian, widely traveled, and is quite knowledgeable and passionate about the integration of Africa and North Africa into a unit. So that's the bios done. Before we move forward, I would just like to call on the panelists just to kind of give us a one-word statement, like an opening statement. But before we do that, I would like to call on Mr. Sebahizi to kind of just explain to us who are novices in the area of trade and the CFTA. What exactly is the CFTA? Why Africans and non-Africans should take note of it, and what promise it holds for Africa? So over to you.
Thank you very much, Adeo, for this brilliant introduction of the panelists, and let me welcome all panelists who are here with me, as well as the participants who will be following us and who will be also interacting with us. I want that this session becomes more interactive than becoming a lecture, so I will try to be brief and set the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area and touch on what is expected from it by micro, small, and medium enterprises. The AfCFTA, in simple words, can be defined as a market. Of course, it's a market. It's a market that brings together African countries, all African countries, 55 African member states. It is established by a legal framework. So it is governing the movement of goods and movement of services across the continent. But it also includes other complementary policies such as investment policy, competition policy, intellectual property rights, e-commerce, and all those policies complement the free movement of goods and free movement of services. So there are many expectations from stakeholders on what will be the opportunities of the AfCFTA. The first opportunity that comes to people's mind is that AfCFTA has expanded African market. So when the market is expanded, it means that you can produce, you may decide to produce from any of African country and then sell your products across the continent without borders. So this expanded market can be available for everyone who wants to produce. You can also look at it from the perspective of attracting investment, in the sense that AfCFTA market is going to boost through economies of scale, is going to boost the profitability of investors. So if you invest in one country, then you can develop through regional and continental value chains. So you can have your SME producing parts that will be sold to big companies that will be targeting the AfCFTA market. So the big companies that will be established because of the AfCFTA market will give opportunities for small and medium enterprises to grow through development of regional value chains. And what I can say here is that the AfCFTA rules of origin, which my colleague Unami will elaborate more about, are meant to, first of all, promote industrialization, because they will protect the AfCFTA market from being invaded by goods from outside the continent. But they will also,
I just wanted to say that I'm sharing my one tab. It's difficult if I'm sharing. So can you share your screen? It's very simple.
The risk of transshipment. If, for example, importers bring in products from, let's
Okay,
say
I'll do
China,
that.
and they want to sell them from one country to the
Okay,
other,
I'll do that
they
now.
will not qualify for the AfCFTA market because they do not meet
It's
the
just
requirements
Dalton.
of rules of
Dalton.
origin. So
Just call
the
me
rules of
Dalton.
origin of the
Yeah.
AfCFTA
Yeah.
are going to protect the
Yeah.
market. So I would like to say that those two opportunities of improving the production process, but also availing that market, are going to be enhancing the profitability of small and medium enterprises. Of course, they will also be profitable to other companies, big companies. But here, since we are talking about SMEs, that's why we need to look at the SMEs perspective. The AfCFTA will also have opportunities for the consumers. The consumers not only will have choice of product to consume, but they will also benefit from improved quality of products, because when you integrate the market, you have enhanced the level of competition among the producers, and then you ensure that the quality of the final product is good for the consumer. So consumers will have a choice on one hand, but they will also have a quality product that they will consume, because the AfCFTA promotes the rules of SDS, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, but they also improve the standards of the products that are sold in that market. And then through trade facilitation measures, the AfCFTA will reduce on the cost of doing business tremendously in terms of reducing the procedures that are involved when you want to take your product to the consumer. And most of those challenges are really felt by small and medium enterprises. So through trade facilitation measures of the AfCFTA, I'm quite sure that small and medium-sized enterprises are going to take the full advantage. So, in a nutshell, that's just a summary. I'm sure we'll go on and elaborate more. I think SMEs, being the backbone of Africa's economy, are the ones that are being focused on, especially the implementation organs of the AfCFTA are going to find a way of focusing their efforts on promoting small and medium enterprises, as well as women and youth who are involved in trade across the continent. We know that in some countries, SMEs account for more than even 90% of their economies. So we cannot ignore that importance of the SMEs in the economy of Africa. I also want to mention that despite the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on almost all economies globally, the AfCFTA has been identified as playing a strategic role in facilitating the rapid recovery in different countries, but also inducing or enhancing structural transformation, and then leading to sustainable development in Africa, but also assisting African countries to build the resilience of their economies. So I think SMEs now are going to produce more, feel more comfortable to produce. There is one aspect that COVID-19 has brought in as an opportunity for SMEs. You know, with the COVID and associated measures, the global supply chain has been disrupted. So it's now not easy to import goods from wherever you want in other Africa. I mean, in other countries outside Africa. And with that disruption, continents or even countries tend to put in place measures for self-sufficiency. So it means that now Africa, that has been relying on the rest of the world, because our intra-African trade is less than 20%, meaning that 80% is between Africa and the rest of the world. So now with COVID-19 pandemic disrupting the global supply chain, African producers have the opportunity to fill that gap. The 80% that was shared with the rest of the world, the market share is now going to reduce. It's going to go to the local producers. So I think that's another opportunity which producers and SMEs in particular should look at. So thank you very much. These are just my opening remarks to give time for other panelists to also give their own point of view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prudence Abahizi. I will now move on to Unami to share a presentation from a desk about the rules of origin. So, yeah, over to you. You are muted, if you don't know. Unami, you are muted. Unami, you are muted. I don't know. Can you hear me? I'll just get to her that she's muted. Apologies for the...
Apologies for that.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Danton, for this opportunity. I was saying good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on your time zone. I'll be taking you through the AfCFTA rules of origin, because in the interest of time, I'll be moving very fast, and I've requested Mr. Danton to post the presentation on the chat. So we will continue in this way. We will start with the definition of rules of origin. What is this rules of origin? The objectives of the AfCFTA rules of origin, the AfCFTA rules of origin, the potential opportunities for the micro, small, and medium enterprises under the AfCFTA, and some recommendation at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, the definition of the rules of origin is as follows. In simple terms, the rules of origin are the rules and the regulations that determine the economic nationality of a product. So in other words, they give the identity of each and every product that will be exporting under the AfCFTA. For us to know whether the product is AfCFTA or non-AfCFTA, you need to fulfill these rules and regulations as documented under the AfCFTA. So in this sense, the AfCFTA economic nationality products, the product economic nationalities are as specified in the AfCFTA trade agreement, and they are only going to be enjoyed by the AfCFTA state parties, or all those countries that are bound by the AfCFTA trade agreement. The following are the objectives of the AfCFTA rules of origin. When the AfCFTA rules of origin were negotiated, they were negotiated based on these objectives or the goals: to boost the intra-African trade, to deepen the integration of the regional and the continental level, at a continental level, to promote regional and continental value chains, and to foster transformation of the continent through industrialization. So, what do business need to know about these AfCFTA rules of origin? For you to trade under the AfCFTA, you have to know the origin criteria. You also have to know the proof of origin, the types of proofs of origin. You have to know the country's designated competent AfCFTA within the African continent. You also need to know the registration procedures. You need to know the procedures for issuance of the proof of origin, because as you get into the borders of the AfCFTA state parties, you will be requested to prove the origin of a good. So how do I qualify? That's the question. For goods to attain the AfCFTA origin qualification, there are two main criteria that have been agreed under the AfCFTA. One, the goods have to be wholly obtained, which means that goods are naturally occurring. We are talking about your animals that have been born and bred within the AfCFTA state parties, the products that have been obtained from live animals that are within the AfCFTA territories. So the other part is, we say, no country or no continent is an island. We will definitely need some inputs that are not African. So how do we deal with that under the AfCFTA? Now we bring in the other criteria, which is known as the sufficiently worked or processed. For that product now to be qualified as a product of AfCFTA, it will have to fulfill the value-added criteria. That is to say, the domestic content, the inputs that you have acquired from within the territory. And we also have to fulfill the non-originating material content. This is where now we talk about the percentage threshold of the inputs that have been imported from outside. And then we also have what you call the change in tariff heading. We'll get to a little bit of illustration to express that. And then we have the specific processes. And the specific processes, now we are talking about qualifying because of the change in nature or the chemical change in nature or the processes that have been used for it now to be deemed AfCFTA products. We're still on how to qualify, but now trying to illustrate the change in tariff heading. Ladies and gentlemen, so you understand that the AfCFTA trade agreement was meant to boost the inter-Africa trade to industrialize ourselves. So here we have an illustration of a change in tariff heading. You remember that if you are not, the product can be wholly obtained or it can be sufficiently worked. Here we are talking about the sufficiently processing. Take, for example, a basket that has been manufactured within the AfCFTA. The sufficiently worked or processed is saying that this basket, if we are to deem it the AfCFTA basket, then it should qualify under the rule that you see at the bottom there, that it should be manufactured from any heading other than that of the product, which means that any heading and any input that has been put to the same tariff heading as the basket. So we will get to talk about these things as Mr. Danton will be bringing in more of these lessons. So the other part that I talked about, do you remember I talked about the non-originating material content? This is to allow you to bring the inputs from outside. In this example, we have a valve casting, which we find under our harmonized system at 848190 heading. These are the things that, ladies and gentlemen, in business, you will get to know and you will need to know to be able to qualify under this AfCFTA or any other trade agreement all around the world. So we have this 848190 heading, the valve casting. For you to qualify, the rule is saying that the inputs that are non-origination, that are not of African origin, should be at least 60% of the ex-works price. So in this example, we find out that the valve castings are imported from Nigeria, which means the small business is based in Nigeria and exporting to South Africa. Then in this case, our non-originating material, according to our business, they state that it's only 55%, then it means that this product is qualifying under the AfCFTA and it shall enjoy the AfCFTA preferential treatment. This is just an extract of how the Appendix 4 or the Rules of Origin set looks like in the AfCFTA agreement. We can see now our heading 84, 81, our valve casting, they belong here under this heading, and the rule is not exceeding 60%. So as I promised, Mr. Duncan will send you this document so that you go on it on your own, because in the interest of time, I'll have to go through it flying like that. So this is another example. It's for you to see the tariff book or the tariff schedule of the goods where you'll be exporting. Take, for example, that our example of the goods that it has now qualified because it's less than 60%. Imagine when you are not under the AfCFTA, when you enter the South African market, this is not a South African tariff book, it's just an example. So when you enter the South African market, in a general, not under the AfCFTA, they will charge you 40% custom duty. And when you enter SADC, for example, they will charge you, just an example. You will now enter that market at 40%, but now when you use our AfCFTA, now you enter the South African market at 20.5 customs duty. Isn't that nice? It's wonderful. Then we talked about that you need to know the proof of origin. How do you now say this good is African or AfCFTA originating? There are different types of proof of origin within the AfCFTA. You will either need the certificate of origin. This certificate of origin is issued by the designated competent authority as adopted in the AfCFTA trade agreement, or you will use the origin declaration, which is a form of self-certification. You make a statement on a commercial document, such as an invoice or the commercial documents that you'll be using for your export, and then you make that statement. You also need a supplier declaration in case you are a trader. You are not a manufacturer, you are just a distributor, but you are distributing the goods that are from within the AfCFTA that are qualifying from your country. You will need the supplier declaration. There's quite a lot to talk about in the supplier declaration at the AfCFTA level. So I do think Mr. Danton will organize another session where we can now go deep into it. So these documents, you also need to, they will be accompanied by your usual customs documentation, your declaration, the process of customs that you need to follow. So what are the benefits? Why should I go through all this trouble to get to be part of the AfCFTA? Number one benefit, you remember that illustration, the 40% and the 20%? Yes, when you qualify as the AfCFTA, you now have reduced or waived customs duties. 2, you will have the preferential treatment, no tariff quotas, because in different countries we do have tariff quotas that if you export to my country at this quantity, after this quantity, then I charge more duty for bringing into my country. So you will not have to face that if your project is under AfCFTA. 2, the competitive prices. Because the other person, the same business that is doing the same thing, is entering the South African market at a general rate, which is 40%, and your product, the same product, is entering the South African market at 20.5%. Who is in a better position to price better? It's you who is under the AfCFTA. So, another benefit, you contribute to the regional value chains because you are part of the AfCFTA, so you have that chance to be part of that African continent AfCFTA regional value chains. 2, reduced cost for doing business through self-certification. For you, micro, small and medium enterprises, when the negotiators were negotiating this agreement, under Article 19 of Annex 2 on Rules of Origin, they thought about you. They indeed have a thought of you. They decided to come up with this origin declaration where it will only be allowed to micro, small, and medium enterprises that you can export using the origin declaration, writing that statement, self-certifying yourself that the goods are originating in AfCFTA instead of going in to buy the certificate of origin. Mind you, the certificate of origin, you have to buy it. You have to go to the office and do all the administrative costs. So they thought about you in their negotiation as small businesses. And then they said, we can only allow 5,000 and below to do self-certification. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the customs will not look at it and assess it. They will definitely do that, but you will be granted your AfCFTA status and treated with that gold glove of AfCFTA trade agreement. Recommendation from myself to you, I would say get enough information about AfCFTA. How do you get it? Check on the ministries of trade platforms of different African countries that are state parties that have started implementing this agreement. Do AfCFTA market research. This is for investors. How you're going to go about the market analysis and where the tariff offers and all stuff. And then understand the qualification requirements. And trade agreement is a trade agreement with its rules of origin. You have to prove. Get it from me, as someone who is experienced in customs. You would have to prove your origin of your good when you enter the borders. And how do you prove it? With the types of proofs of origin that I've already stated. 2, identify and participate in emerging value chains. Identify as a small business. Look around and see where you can fit in the value chains, in the regional value chains, and start working under this AfCFTA framework. The last one, scale up the production, optimize on AfCFTA benefits. With that said, Mr. Dantan, I'll say thank you, and I yield back the floor. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Unami. I hope that was useful. We will be sharing this with all of you by email, and it will be on Innovate Africa page on Facebook. We will also be sharing it on our Telegram group. So if you haven't joined, I will invite you to join our Telegram group, where Collabo Telegram group, where we talk a lot about AfCFTA and other things. I would like to call on Dr. El Shakawi in Egypt. I just want to sort of bring you on to talk about Egypt and the North African region generally. What are the opportunities for all Africans, both at home, on the continent, and in the diaspora? Over to you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, I would like to thank you for all my colleagues and panel 4 and all the panelists. Thank you for Dr. and Mr. Kigari and Patrice Arinami and all of all speakers in the panelist and all of audience. And let's me introduce IABA. IABA is Egyptian African Businessmen Association, founded in Egypt, but serve and introduce themselves to be under service of all the businessmen, women, entrepreneurs in all African continent. So we are looking forward to be a leader of association in the business community in Africa, to produce all the business opportunities, to publish all the business and investments opportunities to all the African, and to support and help the entrepreneurs and small and medium entrepreneurs projects. So also we need to be a big station in North Africa to help and support all African people, and also we're looking for members and to join us to be also another stations in all African countries and African continent. And we know exactly this is a real time to start to do a very good business and to expand all the economic cooperation in the next few years.
So, Dr. Shakawi, can you share your video, please, just for others to know who you are? Thank you.
Video. I think I will share through the chat room, or it is not ready with me now. but I will share after 2-3 minutes from now. Just in case now, I will discuss about the subject of the session today for the opportunities for micro and the small business owners. So I think after Africa Free Trade, that the door is open to the private sector to transform the continent by investing in infrastructure and industries to increase intra-Africa trade and create wealth. I think as there is a great opportunity for the private sector investment in value addition and strengthening regional value chains, which then leads to an increase in intra-Africa trade with the global trade. I think we should cooperate together to find a harmonized standard for irrigating the non-trade barriers that might make this difficult to achieve, also enhancing sustainable production among SMEs. I think this is a real time to increasingly Africa has become an attractive investment. And also North Africa, Egypt also has now, we have a lot of opportunities in Egypt, as you asked me to explain to the people which kind of opportunities. Now, you know, Egyptian people, population around 110 million. And after a few years, Egyptian population will in 2030 or 2050 will be around 150 million population. So Egyptian market consider from the size point of view one of the biggest market in Africa. And also we have a lot of small industrial area, new industrial area. We have a lot of advantages. Government support all SMEs and small and medium entrepreneurs to start their own business. And also we have a lot of opportunities, especially in manufacturing for spare parts for the cars, especially in agriculture. Also, we need to expand this opportunities between Egypt and all African countries. Also, we have opportunities in transfer technology and IT technology. This is a lot of information now in Egypt. So we're looking forward to cooperate with all the African population in all African countries. This is some small or short brief because our college
Okay.
Kigali and Unami take a lot of time at the beginning, so I don't need to give more. But they are following us on attendance today. All followers to visit us and to join EABA, Egyptian African Businessmen Association, which we founded to serve and support all African, and we have 22 committee inside EABA, 22 committee for the construction business, for SMEs business, for entrepreneurs, for African women, and now we are on the way to appointed from each country solve the problems, to invite the speakers from each country. As you know, we have a leak of information. All the people in Africa, they need to know some economic awareness about the situation in their countries. Because if you ask one person in Egypt now, where is Zambia, where is Zimbabwe, who's the capital name, I think we need to increase information and economic information between the and studies and market studies and researches. All these things we needed to do in next year, and 2021 and 2022 we prepare a very condensed program to do a lot of things from these activities. Thank you very much for all my colleagues and panelists, and thank you for the tone, and thank you for all followers. and we are welcome anytime, and we are open-minded to any scenario of cooperation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shakawi. Lastly, but not the least, I would like to invite to just ask questions about the ECOWAS region and Gambia in particular, but also the ECOWAS region. So I just want to ask Beatrice Mboge about what do you think the implication of the AfCFTA for women in business across Africa? Beatrice, over to you. You are muted, just if you don't know. Beatrice, can you hear me? I think you're muted. Okay, I think while she's trying to unmute herself, I'll move on to Prudence. Prudence, I will just ask you a quick question. So you gave a sort of background to the AfCFTA initially. I would like to ask the question about the diaspora. So for those of us in the diaspora, if we're looking to engage, we are looking to sort of benefit from the AfCFTA, or we're looking to support the African Union through certain initiatives and ideas, what would you say is the best way to go through bringing this forward? You are also muted. I think just that you know. Prudence, can you hear me? Okay, while we're struggling with that, I'll go to Unami. Unami, can you hear me? Can you maybe unmute yourself and answer a question about the rules of origin? I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I was getting a bit worried that nobody can unmute themselves. So in terms of the rules of origin, quick question about the rules of origin. I know that we have a template. Is the rules of origin universal for all the African countries, or is it different within the regions? And in terms of the documentation, do we have it in all the different languages like French, Portuguese, Arabic, and English? So there are two parts to it. The rules of origin, is it the same for all the regions? And is it available in all the different languages? French, Portuguese, English, and Arabic.
Thank you very much, sir, for the question. The rules of origin under the AfCFTA are the same for all the state parties, and I want to believe that we are at 35 state parties that are now legally bound by this agreement out of the 55 African Union member states. So they are all the same as agreed under the AfCFTA trade agreements. The languages, yes, they are in 4 African Union working languages. They're in Arabic, in French, in Portuguese, and in English as well. So they are in different agreements, but they're in different languages, African Union working languages. So the rules of origin are the same across all the state parties of the AfCFTA.
Okay.
Agreed.
Thank you. There's another question that in most landlocked countries such as Botswana, which you must be an expert on, we have lots of informal businesses which are into the various economic sector. Is there a specific benefit that could be channeled towards AfCFTA value chains? That's from Shepo Monyaken. So,
if I may be general and also sticking to the rules of origin, like I had presented, that we have the origin declaration that allows the small business, including the formal sectors, to do self-certification for their products that are originating within the continent. And more especially the cross-borders or informal sectors, you find out most of their goods, they export the goods that are wholly obtained within the continent. They are exporting their yam sugars, they are exporting their bananas that are grown within the continent to other to businesses next door near their countries or their neighbor countries. So they've been catered for as well with that proof of origin that allows them to benefit from the AfCFTA instead of going through a hassle of looking for the certificate of origin. They did cover them, so they will definitely benefit from the trade agreement under the rules of origin.
Okay, thank you. There has been good feedback about the presentation and about the rules of origin. The other question I was going to ask is the AfCFTA is mainly about goods, is mainly about business. I was on a presentation with the AfCFTA on the first of the kickoff, which was the 1st of January, and there was a mention that it's mainly for goods and services. In terms of the future, this is another question, are we going to be in a place where one day there will be something that will come up in terms of rules that will be about people, about free movement of people?
Yes, there is a protocol on trade or on free movement of people. So, like I said, it will, just a minute, like I said, it will definitely, if you have signed into that protocol, the state parties that have signed into that protocol, it means they're agreeing to the movement, to the free movement of people. And if it comes to force, then the state parties under that free movement of people will definitely be having that free movement of people within their countries, between their countries with that. When I had you mention that is it AfCFTA all about trade in goods or services only. I would like to share my screen and show the structure. Bear with me.
Okay.
The structure of the AfCFTA trade agreement. And I will do this because my colleague, my former boss, Mr. Prudence, he has another meeting, so he will be doing this meeting and the other meeting. So he has requested me to answer this question. So okay. I will try and share the structure of the AfCFTA trade agreement. Is it visible?
It's coming.
Okay.
Okay, it's visible now.
It's visible. Yeah. If I increase it a bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So at the top of this structure, we see the agreement establishing the AfCFTA. And this phase 1, phase 2, there's another one I've left out. There should be phase 3 there, which is a protocol on e-commerce. So this is how the agreement is going to be. It has the protocol on trading goods and services. Under this protocol on trading goods and services, that is where we find our tariff schedules, those reduction of duties and all. And we have our rules of origin, our customs cooperation, our trade facilitation, how we're going to deal with technical barriers, and how we're going to deal with the non-tariff barriers in these trade agreements. And I think as you go forward and as you keep on calling this session, Mr. Danton, we'll get to stretch the information. Like I was saying, it's important. Like I said, it's important to get enough information on the AfCFTA. So we also have the protocol on trading services. This one deals with services like your finances, your tourism, your transport and logistics, and all the stuff. So this one also we have experts in those fields, and I do believe that you will get to bring them in as we go. We also have a protocol on dispute settlements that deals with settle the disputes within the AfCFTA, and the upcoming negotiations will be on the protocol on competition policy, how we're going to deal with the competition issues, the protocol on intellectual property, the protocol on investment, how we're going to deal with investment issues, and the last one that was supposed to be negotiated in phase 3 that will also be merged with phase 2, I think, that is the protocol on e-commerce. As we are all aware, we are in the middle of COVID, and we can only talk to each other through internet and internet connection. So we will definitely need that protocol. So it will also be part of the agreement. And I hopefully maybe in future the protocol on women issues, I think like President Cyril Ramaphosa mentioned it in the last summit, I think it will also come in just like that. So I'll stop sharing my screen and say that here, the AfCFTA is not all about goods. It's about services, your financial services, and how you are going to deal with them. So it's quite a big trade agreement, and it's very beneficial. So what you need to get enough information.
Okay, apologies for the sort of misunderstanding. I wanted to say goods and services, but it was good that an expert explained it better, because I'm also a novice. This is not my area of expertise. I think we are getting to the end of the session, and there's another question, which will be the last question, and is about: has anyone successfully used the AfCFTA to do cross-border trade so far? In case of non-tariff barriers in member states, who arbitrates? So, Nami, I think you are left to answering questions, so I'll pass to you as well.
Yes, so far I attended the Ghana, the Ministry of the Republic of Ghana Business Forum. I think sometimes 2 weeks back, and they had stated that they have exported some goods through the AfCFTA. I think some of the goods went to South Africa, and some of the goods, I think they went to, I forgot the country name where they were exporting to. So they have successfully exported. In terms of the non-tariff barriers, the non-tariff barriers, there's a monitoring tool that is going to be used where you traders will report your non-tariff barriers, where you get hurdles at the border. You can instantly report the non-tariff barriers that you meet at the border, and it will instantly in real time report to that member state or that country of import focal persons on non-tariff barriers, either through their emails or their cell phones, and then they will deal with that non-tariff barrier, solve it, and then you'll be able to export your goods, and next time I do believe that problem will not occur again. So that's how the AfCFTA has catered for the non-tariff barriers. They have a monitoring tool that you can send your messages to. I will quickly look for the website and drop it on the chat so that you will know which way to go. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. It's been great having everybody, and before we wrap up, I would just like to put across a couple of apologies. One of them is for Beatrice Mboge, who has been having technology issues, and she's not been able to really talk. She's got cut off. She's been trying to connect again. She's in Gambia, and she said the telecom situation has been a bit dire in Banjul. So apologies from her. What we'll be doing is sharing a presentation on within our Telegram group, and what I would like to say is I've shared the link to our Telegram group on the chat. It's called Collabo Africa, which is a platform where using to sort of make Africans collaborate. Collabo is Swahili word for cooperation, and what we're trying to do is basically try to do our own bit here. Innovate Africa is going to bring up more webinars, and we are hoping to bring more experts to talk about the opportunities within Africa in terms of integration, in terms of cooperation, and in terms of the free trade area agreement, where we will learn more about services and also other specific areas. So if you go into the chat now, I think Unami is well. There's a list of website that's been dropped there, and I think Unami as well is promising to drop something. So the very last question, there are two more. So from Wilfred Zinsu, is this AfCFTA for specific goods? I think that question has been answered. So it's for goods and services. So there's another one from Joseph Nuka. What effort is being made to trickle info about AfCFTA and its benefit down to MSMC, MSMEs who are yet to know about this? So I think I'll take this, and then Unami, I'll let you sort of talk about this. Innovate Africa is partnering with different organizations to filter the information about AfCFTA, because I live in the UK. For those of us in the diaspora, there is not really a lot of information about this, because in the UK, as an example, the focus now is Brexit and COVID. So, AfCFTA is not in the news. So what we are trying to do and what we are doing is a couple of things. We are partnering with other organizations who are Africa focused to ensure that AfCFTA information is being shared. We also we are rolling out a platform called the Collabo Africa platform, where basically we will have a lot of information about this being shared. So we have a placeholder in Telegram where on a daily basis there's a lot of conversation about AfCFTA. We also have different regional cooperation. So that's why we have Dr. El Shakawi from Egypt. We have chambers of commerce we are partnering with, one of them being the Gambian Women Chamber of Commerce, and the different regional organizations like ECOWAS, SADC, COMESA, and all these different regional organizations. But ultimately, I think it's also down to us as well, now that we know more about this, to share the information that we have learned here. I want to thank all of you for attending this. We've come to the end of the meeting. The good news is that this presentation is on Innovate Africa page on Facebook. We're also going to share it on our Telegram page. If there's no other question, I will say thank you very much for attending this. It will be good to have you again. There are lots of information here that's been shared by different people, especially about AfCFTA, and Right Silicon also shared some Africa AfCFTA websites. I will say thank you for all who have shared information. We will copy and we'll copy everything and put it on our Telegram group. So it's Collabo Africa, in case you are looking for it on Telegram. We will be looking forward to seeing you. And also there's information about IABA. So if you want to do business with Egypt or North Africa, Dr. El Shakawi, who is is a good friend of mine, is willing to be supportive and help in terms of how to get to understand and navigate the Northern African territories. So it's been a very good meeting, and thank you for those who have attended. We'll be having series on this, so look out on Innovate Africa on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and all other social media. And also, most importantly, the Collabo Africa platform has a lot of information on a daily basis. It's getting right on the hour. We like to keep time and not use the popular time that is usually attributed to us Africans, but just be right bang on the time. Thanks everyone for attending. Hope to see you on the next one, and have a lovely weekend. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.